Welcome back to the Dataliction Podcast. We're over here. One of our clients, we help them help other people learn about their particular, industry and everything. Honestly, I've learned a lot about them here at Veritas, the Veritas group over here in Indianapolis. Incredible group. Look them up if you're, it's funny because we're talking about AI and everything and what we have gotten to do of helping companies grow all over. We get to help them a little bit, and we've been helping them with their studios. So that's where we are today. If you're watching, if you're just listening, it doesn't matter. So Travis, we're going to help our listeners, because most of our people are listening right now. What are we going to talk about today specifically, and why are you so excited about it?
Yeah, John, thank you to the Veritas Group for letting us test out the studio today. And as we're continually diving in and helping out our customers in all different ways. But here's something that is I am really, I wouldn't say passionate about, but I was having conversations with a friend of mine, and I said, why do you like studying old, history? I was like, because history continues to repeat itself at times. And it doesn't matter whether you're in the 14th century or you're in modern day century, everybody still has emotions. Everybody is still looking for what might be happening next. Everybody is still trying to survive.
Yeah, people still being people.
Yeah, people are still people. And their fears are almost, even today, are almost some of the same fears. Yeah. But one of the things that I think about is that there's always going to be people spreading good news or bad news. They're always going to be trying to shout their own perspective, and that you shouldn't always believe everything somebody says.
People always try to make money too, Travis.
Yeah, people are always trying to make money. But here's one of the things is that I think for us is, how are we looking at this new AI bubble of what everybody continues to talk about? And how do we actually prepare for that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. The title of today's episode, as we've prepared it so far, we'll see where we go. You know how this is, Travis. Don't fear the AI bubble. Prepare for what comes next. And I think that it's really important to know that we're in a movement right now. This is not a flip of a switch, but it is a new way that technology is being built. Businesses are being, are operating. And so it's interesting. This is an anonymous tech historian quote. So who knows if this is real? Honestly, maybe AI made this up themselves. But anyway, it says this: the internet didn't fail when the bubble burst. It just shed its illusions and found its purpose. And so at the peak of the dot-com era, the NASDAQ rose 400% between 1995 and 2000, before then crashing 78% in 18 months. So nearly half of all tech startups failed, but what emerged built the foundation of today's digital economy. So with that quote and that piece of data, Travis, some people are concerned that maybe there's going to be an AI bubble burst again. Not again. It would be likening to the internet. That said, Travis, the internet is still here, is it not?
Yeah, I think that when people are talking about the AI bubble bursting, there's so many things around this. They're like, is this more of the market going to crash? Is it that it's a new fad, and people using it? So they're like, it was cute at first, but I don't have too much practical uses. So I'll give you an example. I was really excited when Sono came out, and I was making all these songs and playing them all the time. And now I'm like, the family's like, well, that was cute, and I'm kind of tired of you making up songs all the time.
Yeah.
But that only lasted a week for me. So that's one. So is it a fad? And is people just going to get, tired of it and cast it aside? Then, as I mentioned earlier, is it the market? Is that going to take down, as you're mentioning, the NASDAQ, rose 400%. It came down. The market kind of had a correction during that time. But I want to prop up a little bit on how we want to go with this conversation. So first off, if we talk about the market, and one, I'm not giving any advice. This is purely for information. And what is that?
I'm just an
entertainment purposes only. So I am not giving any financial advice whatsoever.
Do not try this at home.
Yeah, that's right. But when you looked at the internet, or even looked at kind of the housing crisis, those are all propped up off of big debt crises. So a lot of the debt was going into those types of things. Whereas this case is a little bit different. That the amount of debt that is actually not actually real products are being bought and services are being sold during this point in time. And so when people are like, is this a bubble? There's fear in it because they have their money wrapped up around it, opposed to. And the majority of Americans are W-2 employees, right? So, or independent contractors. So, but they're reporting to somebody, in most cases. But from an entrepreneurial perspective, you have to think about it not from the NASDAQ point of view, but how are you using it in your workplace?
Yeah, I appreciate your perspective there, because it's so multifaceted that if you get fixated on one particular thing, or even on the concept of, okay, what if the market crashes? AI still exists. And so I do think there are big things that could impact all of us. But the bigger thing is that AI is here to stay, and how people think about their tasks at their jobs, of how they think about writing, how they think about creative problem solving, all of this has changed. And if we keep doing things the same way that we've always done them, we will get left behind. For example, here's some more data. E-commerce sales grew by 400%. This is 5 years after the crash. So with any sort of disruption, we see new opportunity. So e-commerce, broadband adoption surged from 5% to 50% of U.S. households, not even just small businesses. And so when you're talking about what's next, I think that always get your ducks in a row, be ready for a rainy day. That makes sense. That's good business. There's things we cannot control and we cannot predict. What we can know is that AI, again, is here to stay, and how we're rethinking that. So to me, it's a better question is not, will there be an AI bubble burst, or what happens if there's an AI bubble burst? It's, what does my business look like 10 years from now because AI has changed the game? And so, Travis, I want to ask this question for you. You have helped implement change, just fundamental change in lots of organizations. When there is an organization that is open and willing to change as a team. So like, let's get past the cultural thing of everyone gripping on really tight and all this. They're saying, okay, we know we need to change. Now what? What are some of the ways that you would instruct people to start rethinking about their business when they step into change? And feel free to lean into AI. But like, I think that, again, preparing for the bubble burst is preparing beyond the bubble burst. And so change. Start walking leaders, middle management through the idea of rethinking how they've always thought.
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I want to kind of reframe it saying, okay, how do leaders think about change when there is a new technology that's coming out?
Great.
And how does that impact their people? This is the first time that I think that in technology, where leaders are like, hey, there's this new thing, where the people have started to adopt it before their leaders known how to actually integrate it within the business.
That's a really good point. Reiterate that again of why that's so important.
So I was speaking to a room full of entrepreneurs over the last several days. And time again, they would come up to me and be like, yeah, I'm using it and my team's using it, but we're not all using it together.
Wow.
And it's the first time, and I think that technology right now has really taken shape to where all the employees are starting to try to do some adoption to it before leadership has had a chance to like cast a vision or understand it very well.
Why do you think employees are doing that?
Well, I think that I mean, it's a really cool tool because at times it can make them superhuman. And I know we don't like that term at times. But,
I'm okay with that term.
But well, I know some people don't.
Yeah.
But it's the first time to where it's a technology that's not ones and zeros. But it is a technology in which any layperson can start using it.
Yeah.
And they instantly have more knowledge than they've ever had.
Yeah, at least they think they do.
They think they do. And it's the time that maybe it turns one of your employees from a B player into maybe a B plus or an A minus player, or it takes that A player and just really just ramps them up where it's almost like you have 4 employees instead of just the, 1.5.
I want to lean into this quick. This is not in the notes, Travis, but you're bringing up a great point. I think one of the greatest risks that leaders can make as they approach what could be a bubble is to eliminate a bunch of their team thinking that AI is going to automate everything instead of taking their C players and getting them up to B pluses.
Yes.
And like I think that enhancing your current team is the best way to bolster your structure, because it costs a lot on the organization to hire new people. And if all of a sudden there is this AI bubble burst, but you've just gone and done a riff of 40% of your people because, we're going to just use agents on everything, that's not the point. And so I do think one of the biggest risks are going to be anyone who says, actually, maybe we're not going to do that new hire now for that, that manager. We'll just, absorb it through AI tasks or something like that. So I want to go back to your big point of you're seeing employees adopt a technology before their leadership can actually give a vision for it. So let's go back to that. Okay, so we've acknowledged it. Now what?
Yep. So that's kind of one of the key things on recognizing like what your team is doing, but then you have to get around and play with it yourself. And I'm starting to see more leaders like, I'm starting to use it, but I use it to kind of rewrite my email, or I ask it some stuff. Now, some of the greatest people that I'm seeing power users like in the C-suite right now are literally opening it up during meetings, asking it more questions and say, okay, team, as we're brainstorming, what else can we start leaning into? They're starting to use it to adopt it for the notes side of it and getting key tasks afterwards. It's helping them map out more future stake instead of immediate stake. So because that was our major problem, in the C-suite, is thinking about, we have to put out fires today. We never ever have a chance to think about the future because we're always putting out the fires today. AI now affords us that opportunity to think in the future.
Yeah. And I want to give clarity on this. I would say, based on my experience with the current iteration of tools, it is not good at financial projections. It is not. It is not good at any sort of mathematical equations. It can kind of simply, but not the types of the real healthy, good, strong investor financial projections. Don't rely on it there. But and I'll explain why. AI right now is natural language, which is why people are interacting with it. I can just talk to it like I talk. I can even use misspelled words and it gets me. So it's easy to use. But then it's an iterative tool. It gives iterations. It gives different versions every time. So you can ask the same question. It's going to give you multiple answers for the exact same question multiple times. So that's why it's actually super helpful to give you a new perspective outside of your putting out fires every day. You can simply give it a prompt, say, hey, here are some key details. Give me this perspective. Give me this perspective. What am I missing? And it's just going to keep iterating on that and giving you better perspective, better questions. I feel like it does ask questions really well. In fact, annoyingly so. On my personalization in my GPT, I put in, ask me questions, clarify things. Travis, I had to just turn it off yesterday because I'm like, okay, no more questions. No. That's enough. Just clean this up for me. But so some of the pitfalls to avoid in some real world insights that we've put together. I do think it's important to know that hype is not failure. It can be, but hype itself is an indicator that people are excited about what's possible. And I think that when people are excited about what's possible often happens just because we're excited about it. I mean, if you get a bunch of people in a room together, Travis, and they're not excited about what's possible, they're not going to do anything. So getting people in a room and everyone being excited about what's possible, even if like what they're dreaming is dumb and impossible, you're going to do more than you would have elsewise. So I like that. And I also think that believing, though, that hype means permanence, there are tools that we use right now that will be outmoded faster than ever for their next version.
Yeah, let me lean into that
Go
a little
ahead.
bit on the tool side of this. And I think that this is where most leaders get caught in this spiral on AI. They try to put AI in certain buckets. Well, no, let me rephrase that. That's not it at all. They try to put AI all in one bucket,
Okay.
but it's not a one bucket thing.
Yeah.
So they try to put it in, and the conversations that we have now, some of the first ones like, is it a philosophical question? When I'm like, should it be used? Is it a business decision that should it be used? And people confuse those two. They try to, like, when they start talking about AI, they try to lump both of those in together. Same way, like with this hype on the market, they're trying to combine technology with market valuation. And that's not a great way to look at when you're trying to build a business and grow a business. It's kind of, this is a really bad example, but I don't know how to explain it. And I know I'll probably get hit up in the comments on this. It's kind of like focusing all on the higher political voting versus you should be focusing on your local voting.
Okay. Yeah.
So meaning like how much like impact do I have on, the national voting structure versus the local voting structure? Like, no, focus on your local environment. Much like for businesses or a business owner, focus on the key tasks of your employees. Don't, like, for this hype, don't focus on the market, but focus on the specific actual use cases of it. And owners get tripped up on, like, is this philosophy or is this actually practical?
Yep.
And don't confuse the two when you're diving into this.
And that is how you make it through even a bubble that bursts.
Exactly.
Is you have a strong business, and the businesses that failed were not because of the bubble bursting. It's because they thought the bubble was going to fix everything for them. And so if you just build a strong business, yes, use the best tools that are available. However they work, figure out what you are and then what tools are out there and evaluate that. But make your business stronger. You will survive any storm. That's the reality. And I love that. That was, again, not in the notes, but this is exactly where I wanted this to go, because people either think AI is bad or fake, or even just philosophically like, oh, humans shouldn't be doing it, which, like, I can respect that, but it's probably just bad margins. Or people that are super afraid, like, it's going to take over the world. Like, I keep seeing these clickbait articles on, like, the only 5 jobs that will ever exist in 20 years. And I'm just like, no. Like, guess what? People are still sweeping the floor as a job, Travis. Like, we've been doing that for thousands of years. Back to your point of history and back to how we can keep learning. This is just another change moment in business. Now, is this significant and very exciting? I am thrilled to be able to someday tell my great grandkids that I tried ChatGPT after hating it for a little bit. I was one of the original champions of these ideas of AI and everything. And there, who knows, there'll be floating cars and floating houses and everything. But the point is, this is just another change moment. And so, Travis, how can we stay calm in the midst of change? How can we keep our heads about us? Because we know that when everything is chaos out there, people trying to make noise, because when they make noise, they can take advantage of people and all this. And then even just not the bad actors out there, just like the people that are also scared, making a lot of noise. How do we keep our heads about us in the midst of change to leverage it, but then to not lose ourselves in the midst of all that noise?
Yeah, that's great. And I go back to, there's 2 things when I think about change. One is understanding your why and your purpose. And what is your company's why, and purpose. Sometimes you can like combine those two, but really you get up every morning. Why are you serving other people? What product are you making that helps others? Like at the core, you wake up, you're like, are we still making the donuts today? Yep. We're still making the donuts. Are we still serving the people? Yeah, we're still serving the people because that's why we got into the business in the first place.
Yep.
The second part of it that I think of, like, how do you weather the storm or be really calm in it? One of my greatest, one of the phrases that I love talking about the most or sharing, I ask people, I was like, what is the greatest force in the world? And, there's a lot of good answers out there, but one of the ones that I like the most is that water is one of the greatest forces in the world. It erodes mountains and carves canyons and can wipe out nations. And the reason why is because it's flexible. And when you're flexible, that means you can make a lot of change and you can grow and adopt really, really well and really, really fast. And so I say, I'm like, be like water. Let's be flexible in this moment in time. And because once you become rigid, like ice, it breaks. And so let's not break. Let's become flexible in this. And so that's how I think about like this bubble, but don't ignore what your people are talking about. Ignore what the news sometimes says, but don't ignore your people.
Yeah.
Don't ignore that if your people are stressed and under pressure and they're constantly saying, like, I can't take on another project. Maybe you should lean in and say, okay, is there training or do we actually need to hire another person? Is there another process that we need to change in this point in time? Because AI isn't going to solve that. It's your leadership that's going to solve that.
Yeah. I love that you're bringing up the point that we are at a moment where everything is more malleable and we have the opportunity to make some changes because of technology changing, people being more open, that there are ways we can fix and flex and come alongside our people that maybe 5 years ago, before AI was changing things, it would have been harder to change. But I think people are more open to change because things are changing around it. And then what I would say about AI is that it has started a change movement because it's going to iterate so quickly and we're going to see so many things. As you mentioned, AI is not one thing. It's very multifaceted, from your large language models to any sort of even the way CRISPR and DNA is it's running things in scientific process. It's beyond me, but it's going to keep changing. So this is now our moment to not change once, but to become changers with the times. And I want to leave this takeaway here, and I want to get some of your final thoughts, Travis. But a correction, even in the market, doesn't erase potential. It just defines it. The coming AI shakeout will expose weak strategies, but reward those who stay disciplined, focused, and human-centered. The internet did not go away in 2001. It is now everything. It is everywhere. It's all in our black little rectangles that we carry in our pockets everywhere. And so AI will as well, with big partnerships of Apple and Gemini and all these things coming out there, understanding the world is now continuing to change faster. So our ability to change with it is going to be the crucial difference of how to make it through any sort of bubble now. And Travis, a bubble in 30 years from now as well. And so, Travis, any closing thoughts for our listeners as we wrap up this episode today?
No, I love what you said there, John, that you're talking about, the correction doesn't, erase the potential. It defines it.
Yep. Defines it.
And by that, you have to take a really good hard look at how you are leading and what good questions are you asking your employees and what good questions are you asking yourself. And don't just put the technology in one bucket, but try to separate those buckets.
Yeah. Travis, you've led me right into my call to action for today. Listeners, Travis and I have built something new. I don't know. We might have announced it online by the time this drops, maybe not. Go to dataliction.com, okay? And then go to our AI adoption operating system. We have designed this specifically for leaders who want to make it through the bubble. That probably will happen, but who knows? Regardless, you and your team need to have a clear path, not on what AI tool you use. That's part of the conversation. It's understanding your business and leveraging what makes you special, what makes your people special. So it's a 12-month program. Really, really cool. Read all about it. That said, your next step is a 30-minute free consultation. We've got a big questionnaire kind of setting us up. We'll meet with you, chat, see if the program is a good fit for you. But that said, please go there, dataliction.com. And then also subscribe to our newsletter. I'm just going to point you to LinkedIn specifically. We really enjoy that space. You can do it on our website, but LinkedIn is great. Interact with us, like, share, subscribe, all the things, 5 stars. But until next time, I'm so grateful to have you on the Dataliction Podcast. My name's John.
And I'm Travis.
And we are going to continue to take data and move it into the right action, and that action into growth.